the latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. Before we dive into this historic shift, make sure you hit that subscription button right now to stay updated. The balance of power is shifting right before our eyes, and East Africa is officially drawing a line in the sand. Tanzania President Samia Suluhu Hassan has landed in Moscow for a major 3-day state visit to meet face-to-face with Russian President Vladimir Putin. This is not just a routine diplomatic meeting. This is a massive, calculative move away from Western influence, and to fully understand the weight of this moment, we have to look at the deep history that the mainstream media is trying to ignore. According to historical records, this is the first time an official Tanzania head of state has made a state visit to Moscow in 57 years. The last time this happened was way back in October 1969 when Tanzania's founding father Mwalimu Julius Nyerere traveled to the Soviet Union. Back then, the Soviet Union was a key ally that backed African liberation movements against Western colonial powers. The Soviets stood with Tanganyika and Zanzibar when they united to form Tanzania, providing economic, technical, and educational backing, while Western empires were busy trying to maintain their grip on the continent. After Nyerere's 1969 trip, the relationship remained quiet but respectful for over 5 decades. Now, 57 years later, President Samia is reviving that exact historical alliance to break free from modern Western pressure. Let's look at why African nations are realizing they need Russia right now. According to geopolitical analysts, the West has spent decades using financial aid, loans, and international institutions as weapons to control African sovereignty. If an African leader does not do exactly what Washington or Brussels wants, they threaten sanctions, withhold funds, or try to destabilize the economy. Russia offers a completely different model. Moscow approaches Africa on the basis of mutual respect and business. They are not coming to lecture African nations on how to run their own internal affairs or rewrite their traditional laws. According to official reports, President Samia's delegation in Moscow is there to secure massive strategic deals in trade, infrastructure, mining, energy, and tourism. They are finalizing plans for a major uranium mine that has been in development, and Air Tanzania has already announced direct flights connecting Dar es Salaam to Moscow by the end of this year. This is about real economic development, not empty promises and endless conditions. But look at the extreme hypocrisy of Western governments regarding how they treat African leadership. Last October, Tanzania held its presidential election, and according to official electoral results, President Samia won 98% of the vote. The moment those numbers came out, the West went into a complete frenzy because that massive victory did not go down well with them. Western media, diplomats, and rights groups immediately began a heavy campaign to delegitimize the government. According to statements from Washington, the United States openly threatened to review its entire relationship with Tanzania, placing sanctions on local officials and accusing the administration of heavy crackdown and political violence during the election period. The hypocrisy here is staggering. Whenever a leader in Africa wins by a landslide and refuses to bow to Western demands, the West labels the election a sham and demands accountability. Yet, look at what happens inside Europe and the West. When massive violent protests break out in European capitals, when citizens take to the streets against failing economic policies, and when governments use heavy police force to crush their own domestic protesters, the Western media calls it the natural process of democracy. According to reports, Western nations can have systematic unrest, political corruption, and massive internal divisions, but they protect each other's image. The moment an African country handles its internal security, the West uses it as an excuse to destroy that nation's global reputation. Russia does not play those double standard games. According to official diplomatic sources, Vladimir Putin was one of the very first global leaders to officially congratulate President Samia on her 98% election victory. While the West tried to isolate her and punish Tanzania, Putin opened the doors of the Kremlin palace, receiving her with full state honors. According to international observers, Russia knows exactly what the West is doing. By welcoming Tanzania at a time when Western ties are fraying, Moscow is offering a reliable strategic shield. For Russia, having a strong ally in East Africa is critical, especially when it comes to voting blocs and alliances within the United Nations and the expanding BRICS framework. President Samia has been entirely unapologetic about her stance. According to her recent public statement, she has made it clear that internal stability comes first and outside forces will not be allowed to dictate how Tanzania runs its house. By flying to Moscow and resurrecting the 1969 Nyerere blueprint, she is sending a direct message to the West. Africa is no longer up for grabs and the monopoly of Western control is officially over. The black man is capable of managing his own affairs and the time is now. We are excited about all the things that we are seeing in Africa because moving from the direction of this to Moscow tells us that the woman who is leading the people in Tanzania truly has a goal and a mission. And maybe we just need time to understand her because whenever it doesn't please them, they always try to make noise and we rally behind them. Now, we need to pay close attention to the unspoken words by the moves of our leaders who are doing everything possible to change the narrative in Africa. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we'll make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world in Africa, East Africa, and in Tanzania.
Уважаемый господин президент, дорогие друзья,
Madam President, dear friends,
очень рады видеть вас в России.
we are truly glad to see you in Russia.
It's good? Нет? Отлично.
Great.
Мы очень рады видеть вас
We are
в
glad
России.
to welcome you to Russia this year. We're going to celebrate 65 years of diplomatic relations.
И приятно отметить,
It
что
is very
после
pleasant
вашей инаугурации вы выбрали Россию в
that
качестве
after
первой
your
делегации
inauguration,
страны.
you decided to go to Russia, being as the first country where you have organized your state visit. This is a very good signal that throughout all these years, throughout the years when you were a minister,
В качестве
and then as a vice president, you always paid attention to developing relations with our country. They always developed very intensively. Last year, when was the growth of the trade turnover up to 20-25%, which is a very good indicator. Without any doubt, we need to enhance our trade turnover. We have all the opportunities for this. I mean, different areas like energy, geological exploration, transport, logistics, in general, healthcare, education. By the way, I know that tomorrow you are going to be awarded with the title of the honorary doctor of our university, Patrice Lumumba University, and I congratulate you on this in advance. As for the international arena, we cooperate very intensively, we can listen to each other, we support each other. We have just spoken that there are opportunities, and I hope it will happen tomorrow, or the day after tomorrow. I think it will be, you can speak at this St. Petersburg Forum, International Economic Forum of St. Petersburg, and we hope that at the third Russia-African Summit, your country will be represented at high level. We are really glad to see you here, Madam President. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, President Vladimir Putin. At the outset, I have the honor and privilege to extend my sincere appreciation for being invited in this beautiful country, and also extend our appreciation that we have been graciously received, and we have been enjoying all the hospitalities which were awarded to myself and my delegation. The second, as you said it right, my visit is a very special historic has a very special significance to me personally and to the country. It has been more than a century since the last state visit to Russia, and that was in 1969 by Mwalimu Nyerere, our founding father of the nation. So to me, it's a very, very historic trip coming to Russia to discuss some issues of our bilateral cooperation, but also sustainable development for our people. So on behalf of myself and the people of the United Republic of Tanzania, I express our sincere appreciation for this invitation. As you said it right, that this is a chance